All right, let's do mic check. All right, that sounds good. And it looks like YouTube's latency is severely reduced streaming at 2K instead of 4K. So that's a bonus or a trade-off, however you feel about it. All righty. Well, I will be on camera in just a second. Just need to move over. Anyways, how is everyone doing? I hope everyone's having a great weekend. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be finishing this painting of Dresden today. All right, my face cam is messed up. There we go. Alrighty. Move. All right. Feel like what's it called? The painting might be a little on the dark side on screen. Let me let me see if I can correct that. I think I have a general lightness. Here we go. Um, can I not? Okay, maybe this? Yeah, I think that's improved. Not much, but a little. All right. I mean, this part is pretty dark, so okay. All right. A bit of a slow Sunday today, so just gonna keep it as an easy Sunday unless I don't know, unless the caffeine kicks in hardcore, I guess. So far, we're good as far as like the stream connection, so that's a plus. Yeah, we had a bit of a slow start today. We had some friends over yesterday to celebrate Michelle's birthday, and that was a lot of fun. But you know how it is after a party. Wasn't crazy or anything, very low key, very chill, but just a bit of a slow start today. And at least a lot of my paint is fresh. That's good. Oh, that was me. I forgot to mute my phone. Just gotta clean off some of my palette, unfortunately. I try to save as much paint as I can, but a lot of times it just does not work out. Well, the great thing about having a glass palette is you can use a razor on it to clean it off. Very useful. Although if it's too hard to clean with the razor, some rubbing alcohol can really help dissolve the paint, the dried paint. All right. All right, the painting's dry. I'm just gonna grab my brushes. Then I'll have to oil out as well. Okay, so far so good with the stream health. I'm like obsessed with it now after the last couple streams had so many issues. Mm. So I'm using oleo gel to oil out, and I know this is a small gripe, but it really frustrates me that I can't get oleo gel through like Jerry's Artarama. I really, really wish I could buy it through Jerry's. I don't know if it's available at Blix. Uh, I don't think so, but I'm not 100% on that. I haven't checked. But yeah, as far as I know, it's only available on their website. Then, what is it? Natural, oh, Rublev, I mean. Yeah, definitely gonna have to finish putting in the eyes and the details about that today. So here, let's see. Yeah, zoom in a little and you can see things a bit better. There's definitely some things that are gonna have some changes done today. But yeah, his face, his eyes. So I don't know what it's like painting with acrylics that much. I I've painted with them in the past, but in a very different technique, so I don't feel like it applies. Um, I can't really comment about acrylics, but when it comes to oils, you go through white so, so much faster than any other color. It's crazy. Maybe if you're doing exclusively like dark, very dark content where everything's like, you know, low values, maybe you won't, but I go through white so fast, it's crazy. All right, so I have to add some some volume, not volume, some length to his tail. While trying to get the shadows and the background and everything, I cropped his tail a bit. So I use Mars Black from Mgram, and it leans just slightly towards the green. Um, you can't really see it too much, I think, when you just mix it with white, but I notice it when it mixes with other colors more. Obviously, yellow pulls it to the green a lot, but more noticeable. But the thing I like about Mars Black, and it's specifically the Mgram Mars Black, because I've heard other people talk about Mars Black feeling different. Like I've heard people say it's kind of grainy and not very smooth. And that isn't really the case with Mgram's Mars Black. So I can only comment about theirs because it's the only one I've used. And after they're hearing negative things from other people, I'm not really inclined to try other brands. So it's hard for me to comment on other brands. But what I was going to say is it the reason I like Mars Black is it's a very strong black, um, which means it holds up well against my other paints, which are all very strong colors. And it's opaque, or at least more opaque than most other um, uh, blacks that I've tried. 'Cause a lot of dark paints uh, tend to be translucent or transparent. So yeah, and ivory black. Uh, my understanding is ivory black originally was called ivory black because it was made out of ivory. Now it's technically bone black because it's made out of bone char. And I just don't feel like supporting animal-based products. So Mars Black is basically made out of dirt or a byproduct of dirt in some way. And basically it's a mineral or something. Supposedly it's magnetic, but I've never tried that. That might be a little too bright there, but I'll tone it down in a minute or two. One of my favorite blacks is actually a mixed black. It's called chromatic black. Different companies have different, what's it called, recipes for that black. Gamblin's is the only one I've tried, and they use essentially phthalo, um, phthalo green yellow version or emerald and uh, quinacridone rose uh, and to make a black. Hey Mark, welcome. How you doing? Hopefully the stream works better today. Also, there should be less latency because I'm streaming at uh, uh, 2K or 1440p instead of 4K. So hopefully everything works better today and there's, lower latency. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you stopping by. Sorry last time you did it. It was such a mess. It wasn't my computer's fault, for the record. It has no problem pumping out 4K video. I tested it. Anyways, I was just talking about the chromatic black from Gamblin. It's a real nice color. The only problem is it's transparent or translucent. Mark says, I'm good. Yeah, it looks better today. Good. Glad, glad to hear it. Like I said, the latency should be even better, which means, keeping a conversation going should be a little easier too. There is a ultra low latency version, but it's that would require turning it down from 1440 to 1080p, and I prefer the higher resolution in case people want to zoom in or anything. Also, I mean, I feel like while I enjoy having conversations with people I'm talking to, I do take a break from reading the chat when I'm painting for obvious reasons. I can't look at two things at the same time. So I feel like it's not really going to make that much of a difference ultimately. Oh, that is actually the wrong color. But yeah, I actually bought the colors for mixing chromatic black, but I ended up only using the phthalo green to mix chromatic black, so I just stopped putting it on my palette and just got a black instead. And like I said, I got frustrated that it was translucent, so I went with Mars Black to try it out. And I like Mars Black. I did have a really cool interaction though with chromatic black once that I really liked, and I don't think I can recreate it reliably enough to use it in my painting. Um, but I really did appreciate it. I was preparing uh, a, a surface to paint on, and I put down the chromatic black, and then I wiped it off. Trying to remember if I used Gamsol or not. I think I did. The idea was to tone the surface, and what ended up happening was it toned the surface kind of a light gray, but there were streaks of like, emerald and like violets going through it um, randomly. And not streaks like harsh streaks. They were like very like um, kind of reminded me of photos you see of space dust, and all those colors. Something like that. And I was just like, oh, that's so cool. Like I said, I don't think I can reliably recreate that in a way that I could use it in a painting, but I really like the look of it. I ended up covering it all up though, because the painting I did just, covered everything. But yeah, it was such a cool effect. I'm hoping one day I can figure out a way of doing something similar and using it in some way. Oh, if I didn't ask, Mark, how are you doing today? Hope everything's well with you. It's a bit of a slow or easy Sunday for me, I guess. We had a birthday party here at the house last night. Not a big one, just a small one. Not my birthday, but yeah, just a small little, get together with friends and stuff like that. It's a bit of a slow Sunday today. And I was also saying that I expect to finish this painting today, either on stream or after I stream, I'll finish it, or, I'll probably get 90% of it done on stream and then do a little more afterwards. I mean, it's really getting there towards the finale. Most of it's pretty close. There's a few details here and there for sure. His face definitely needs a little bit of work. But yeah, a lot of the other details are mostly finalized. A little bit of stuff in the with the plants here that needs some work. I was already planning on doing that as well. But I wanted to get some of his tail in there before I did anything else. Mark says it's great. Went for a drive down a famous highway today to witness Lark Madness. It's a tourism hotspot to see fall colors and the foothills of the Rockies. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it sounds beautiful. It sounds amazing. That's awesome. I was more of an outdoorsy person. Like, I'm not, I don't love going outdoors if I'm being honest. Like, I, the sun bothers me. Like, too many things just don't agree with me. I'm not a very outdoorsy person. Regardless of if I wanted to be or not, I just not built for it. Just one of those people. Um, but if I was, I think I'd probably be more of a plein air painter than I currently am, which is none at all. Like I'm not a good, I'm also not good at plein air painting, but I do think it's for lack of practice because there's being good at painting and then there's being good at plein air painting. And those are related skills, but they're not 100%. You know, there's definitely a skill to plein air painting that you have to develop. Because I know some really great artists who are not good plein air painters, despite the fact they're amazing. So it's definitely a uh, slightly separate skill. But I do think if I was more of an outdoorsy person, it's a skill I'd probably develop a lot more. Because you know, the views of some places are just gorgeous. I do take photos and I do think about doing more, what's it called? Landscape paintings, but I don't know. If I'm being honest, I don't think I'm a landscape painter. I have yet to do landscapes where like, I enjoy it the same way I enjoy doing figurative or portraiture. But that sounds beautiful. Um, yeah, I do really appreciate like great scenery and views and everything. It can definitely be refreshing to get outside too. Mark says, I love the outdoors, but not while painting. I don't like fighting the elements while painting. I'd rather have the comforts of home for that. I agree. I'm very much the same way. You know, like I said, I like the outdoors. I'm just not built for it. Like that's the reality. So, um, you know, uh, it is what it is. But I totally feel you. I was part of a plein air painting group in LA um, called the Weekend Warrior Painters. They're still around. They've actually grown quite a bit. They also have like classes online, if I'm not mistaken, and they also have merch and they have a lot of interesting stuff on their website too. Uh, some really great painters. I mean, the people who go out with them are a mix from like very experienced to completely inexperienced, which is great. I think that's a good thing to have in a painting group. Um, but um, yeah, I was always, it always was like a big thing. Like you gotta prepare. I had to prepare all the time. It wasn't something I could just do easily. It's like gotta prepare, gotta, get all the gear together because I don't have like a separate gear for plein air painting. Slather on all the sunscreen and make sure I have the bug spray and yeah, it just becomes it's a lot. It can be a lot. And in the beginning I was doing it with gouache and then ended up switching over to oils and both have their downsides for plein air painting, right? Like oils obviously don't dry fast, so you have to make sure to have some way of carrying your wet paintings. And there's, you have to have like the solvents with you and it's just a lot more gear, it feels like. But the problem I had when I tried with gouache was we went out to the desert one time to paint, and I kid you not, the paint would dry on my brush from the time I went from the palette to the paper. Like it would dry, and it wouldn't dry 100%, but it would, like, it went from like wet paint to like dry brushing. So I had to over wet everything, and that, you know, causes all kinds of other problems. And yeah, it was crazy. And I'm no longer as good or confident in my watercolors as I used to be. So like I don't feel like I could do watercolor plein air painting anymore. Not that I ever did it, I just used to be more of a watercolor artist before I got back into painting. Fiona, water mixable oils, great for plein air. I could see that. I could definitely see that, Fiona. And welcome. Thanks for stopping by. How you doing today? I could see that being, especially because it's good for cleanup, makes cleanup easy. Over on Twitch, uh, Architecty says, "Oh, the desert is so dry. I can totally see that. I lived in the Southwest and things would dry so fast, which was usually a good thing." Yeah, I get that. How is watercolor in the drier climates? Uh, I don't know. I never did watercolor plein air painting. And by the way, welcome. How are you doing today? Um, yeah, I when I was studying, um, when I was like a teenager and took some classes, I learned watercolor, and it kind of stuck with me for a long time. But I never did plein air watercolor. It was always in, you know, at home type of thing. I will say other people did plein air watercolor, and they seem to manage in the drier climates not too bad. Probably because you can just load up so much water in the brush that even if it dries, it doesn't matter. I mean, it probably limits some watercolor techniques because, like, I'm sure everything dried on the paper almost instantly. So there's no wet into wet. But I think in watercolors, that's not the worst thing in the world because you can layer pretty well. And if you're not a purist and you don't mind mixing white into your watercolors, then you could definitely, you know, manage it, I feel like. If you're a purist, it might be a little harder. For those who don't know, there's like this whole thing with watercolor artists where it's like if you're a purist, you don't, the only white you use is the white of the paper, which is like whatever. It's, in my opinion, it's dumb, but what do I know? But yeah, gouache, if you're using thick gouache out of the tube and you're not watering it down, it wouldn't dry instantly, but I guess I used gouache a little more watered down than that, generally speaking. So yeah. Um, but yeah, people also have like when they do plein air, they have all kinds of contraptions to help keep everything, you know, working as even in the drier areas. Yeah. Fiona says doing great listening to you while finishing off some uh ami what is that? Amigurumi on a cold autumn evening in wet Scotland. I don't know what that is. And I don't know if I pronounced it right. I don't think I did. But welcome. I'm glad you're hanging out with us. I have heard great things about Scotland as far as like I think I had a friend who lived there for a while and said it was amazing. Oh, it's crocheting toys. Okay, got it. I did pronounce it correctly. Awesome. That's a lucky. That's lucky because don't normally pronounce things correctly. The famous one is I've gotten crap for this for years is I used to pronounce espresso with like an X. In Hebrew and Israel, that's more of how they pronounce it. They emphasize that more because of the accent. So that's where that comes from. But yeah, uh, people have made fun of me for that for years. There's definitely some words that I always like, they always seem to be the ones I struggle with. I don't know what it is. Like a documentary, like in the right context, it's just, I don't know, challenging for some reason. Anyways, not that that's all that important, but yeah. But yeah, I did buy for plein air painting because gear is such a big deal. Um, I did buy a plein air shot box off of eBay for like 50 bucks, which was a really, really good deal. I can show you all in a minute. Let's see. Hey, Cassandra, welcome. You didn't see the notice? My bad. Hey, no worries. Uh, Architecty says espresso kind of makes sense because espresso is expressed from the machine. That's funny. Yeah, true. Very true. Mark says Calgary, where I live, has its whole early history from Scotland. I believe its name after Calgary House there. Oh, interesting. You know what? I'll get back to the plein air real quick. Actually, I'll show the plein air box now because it's right here, and then I can talk more about the other thing. But yeah, I bought this plein air pochade box off of eBay, and it was like $50, which is, I priced it out cheaper than I could make it myself because the individual pieces that I would have to buy to make this box, um, they don't sell most of the pieces in individual pieces. And because they don't sell it in individual pieces, you get more than you need. So the person who makes these obviously buys more and makes some more of them. So it's an old cigar box, and he retrofitted it by cutting it. Has a latch to keep it closed. Um, he made a hole in the bottom for to attach a camera. Um, Not a camera, but a camera tripod to it. And he and it has a what's it called? It's a tension hinge or a friction hinge, so it stays open, right? And it has this little pallet here. And then inside, you can put your paints and stuff in here. He made these little thingies to hold it so the pallet can go outside. It's a small palette, you know, admittedly. And then here, this thing flips open and it can hold, it has a wet carrier, so it can hold 2 panels, obviously only 2. And these are 6x8, so pretty small. So it is super. Oh, already Architect says that's super cool. Yeah, no, it's really cool. And what's great is this was only like $50 off of eBay, which, like I said, there is no way I could make this for less, right? Even if I had tools, even if I didn't need to buy any tools, the hinges that it has, the tension hinge, I priced everything out. I could not make this for cheaper. Is this the best pochade box out there? Definitely not. Is it super rugged? Definitely not. I've already put like chips into it, into the wood and stuff like that very easily. Like, it is not, this isn't, you know, the type of thing that is going to last through the ages. But for someone who doesn't go out plein air all the time and wants, you know, a little setup that I can take with me, very good. You know, it's also years ago. There might be better stuff now. I haven't checked. But all to say that there are some options out there to do stuff. But yeah. So, you know, you don't have to go and spend like $300 on the best, you know, plein air painting easel out there. There's also a Facebook group for plein air painting easels. I found, where people share their like builds and their designs and everything, which is kind of cool as well. So yeah. Oh, I was going to say, Mark was saying about the connection of Calgary to Scotland, and history is so interesting. Yet when I was in school, it was so boring. And I find that just so sad and frustrating. Like, how is it that something is so interesting yet presented so utterly boringly in school? It's such a shame. I feel the same way about art history, by the way. Like, I find art history, some of it super interesting, but in certain contexts, when certain, you know, when taught a certain way, it's the most boring thing ever. So very frustrating, because I would love to learn more art history, because my art history knowledge is not that good, but it's very difficult to, it's one of those subjects that's a little difficult to teach yourself, at least for me, because I'm not a big reader. So I don't know. I don't know how many art history books there are on in audiobooks, but I'm gonna start searching for them, because I feel like that'd be really cool to learn more about. So if anyone has recommendations, by all means, let me know. All right, little coffee break while I'm at it. Oh yeah, also worth mentioning, the plein air easel, the plein air pochade box that I have. I attached it to just a simple, it was like a, I think it's the Amazon Basic tripod. Worked absolutely fine in the field. Like, you can take that out and, you know, paint anywhere you want. So you don't need, you know, and there's even cheaper stuff that you can do if that's something you want to do. If you have tools and you're handy, it's, yeah, you can make a lot of easy stuff. You don't need all of that. I just, at the time I was in LA in an apartment, and I didn't have all the tools or anything. Not that I do right now, but you know. That was the options at the time. But yeah, I have to figure out what I'm taking with me uh, when I go to uh, Washington next year. I'm planning, if I can, I'm planning on going to the Portrait Society convention again. And I didn't take my paints with me last time, and I regretted it. So this time I'm taking my paints with me. They told us not to bring our paints, that we shouldn't paint while we're there. The hotel doesn't like it. And stuff like that. And yet so many people brought their paints. So many people did like breakout painting sessions. So yeah, not believing them the next time. Just bringing my paints with me. Breakout painting sessions, fun. Yeah, and like no sleep. Oh my God, people were painting until early in the morning, which I generally like doing. But I don't like waking up at 9 a.m. the next day. So it was a lot of like, it was a convention, So if you've ever been uh, to a Comic Con or I, it's not exactly Comic Con because it's more of a professional kind of conference with aspects of like a Comic Con. So yeah. Oh my God, the staying up late and then every day and waking up early. Yeah, yeah. Mark says I was very lucky. My history teacher was one of the foremost historians in West Canada, uh, Bill Barley. He had a show called Gold Mines and Ghost Trails. Wow. Okay, that sounds interesting. All about the history around where I grew up. Ah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, see, like it can be interesting, but I had some of the driest teachers ever, and it was not interesting at all. And I'm bad with names and I'm bad with dates, so it's just like this soup in my brain of random people with random names, and it's just like, okay, I'm not learning anything from this. But then when I watched, there's a YouTube channel that on PBS that the Art Talk or something like that. I can't remember the name of they don't put out videos anymore, so unfortunately, but they would cover all kinds of art history stuff, and I found that super interesting. So, it depends how it's told, right? I also love the what is it? The like I watched the history of like Van Gogh and stuff about his life, and it's so interesting. It's just like, okay, you see, when you focus on one person, you don't make it overly complicated. You tell a story. Like I can follow this. Sandra says my art history class was first thing in the morning. Oh God, no. In a darkened room. You can imagine how alert and ready to learn I was. I can imagine getting kicked out of that class and being in trouble for falling asleep during that class. I would have fallen asleep. Not not drowsy, not like partial. I mean full on drool on the table, asleep. The only way I was able to stay awake in high school during morning classes was first of all, classes started at 8:15. No, the bell rang at 8:15. That's when I left my home because I was a block away. Um, so I'd hear the bell, rush to school to get there with the teacher, hopefully, and then um, I would sit in the very back of the class, and through all of high school, I didn't bother bringing books to class, with a few exceptions, which I could, whatever I'll talk about. But all I did was I brought drawing supplies, and all I did was sit in the back of the class and draw and listen, because I'm dyslexic and like that's how I learn. It's easier for me to take in information that way. I took no notes because I'm not good at taking notes, and they don't help me anyways, and so on. So I had no notes, just sat in the back of the class and drew all the time. Only exceptions were like uh, all the all the science classes, because I was into science and I was pretty good at them, like physics, chemistry, biology, and math and computers. And then when we had to like focus at one point, we had to like uh, specialize in some. I couldn't take advanced classes in some of them anymore. So I focused on just a few of them, and that was it. Art Architect, he says oof about the class being early in the morning in the dark. Cassandra's class, yeah, that's crazy. Mark says about his history teacher, he had a sub come in who was an expert on Klondike Gold Rush, which was mostly Americans looking for riches in the North. He would draw caricatures while he spoke. So fun. That sounds amazing. That sounds like a great teacher and a great class, honestly. I just saw, this is kind of related. I just saw a reel, because I don't watch TikTok, so I watch Instagram instead. I just saw a reel today, which claimed that Leonardo da Vinci was apparently a fitness uh, person, and like was super jacked, at least for the time. Um, and I don't know how true that is. So I'm now very curious about that and want to look it up and see if I can find any information about that. Because there are no definitive self-portraits of Leonardo da Vinci. There's one that's often attributed as being a self-portrait, but it's not for sure that it's a self-portrait. It's just people think it is, but we don't actually know. At least last time I heard, things there could have been an update. I don't keep up on everything. That, and also the idea that Jackson Pollock was funded by the CIA to mess with Russia, um, is also something I want to look into. Um, let's see. Cassandra says Plato was evidently a nickname Plato picked up from wrestling and meant broad. Interesting. Mark says it's too bad more teachers aren't that way. He knew how to engage with young minds and make it fun and interesting. I agree. It's really tough. Teaching is teaching is very difficult. Teaching is a very difficult skill, and teaching kids is an added aspect to it. And teachers just don't get paid enough, and so you you don't get a lot of great teachers, unfortunately. It's not to get too much into like political stuff, but like there are definitely some professions out there that I feel like should be uh you know much more what's it called, not just well regarded, but compensated, because there's a lot of jobs out there that are very, very well compensated, and it's like, yeah, no one, who cares? Like what you're doing adds nothing. We could live without you, but not teachers, and not like firefighters and stuff. So it's unfortunate. I wish those things were a bit different. I don't think that's a very what's it called, um, controversial idea, but achieving it seems to be very difficult for some reason, which I'm not going to get into. I don't know, because I don't know the real answers there. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Cassandra agrees with me. Yeah, I think most people do. I've met very few people who don't feel this way. At least I'll say this. I don't hang out with super wealthy people, so they might have a different idea, but almost everybody else seems to seems to have that kind of concept. So I'm trying to paint kind of the negative shape here because there's like all this grass, not grass, but like high leaves stuff here. So I'm trying to paint like the negative shapes in, which honestly I think that worked out pretty well. Maybe I'll go in and add or take away something at some point, but I think that accomplishes that looks like grass of some sort, or not, like tall grass or something. Mark says it's funny to look at old pics of Olympians and what jacked used to be. Oh yeah, and compare it to today. My uncle was known as a great athlete and played in the uh, HNL. He was a smoke. He was a smoker. LOL. Yeah. Well, okay. The funniest ones are without a doubt baseball, because if you look at there's old footage of baseball players going up to bat with cigarettes in their mouth, and that is like the craziest thing ever. I don't think there's a lot. They probably weren't supposed to do that, but I've seen it, and it's just hilarious. Yeah, I think people don't realize how much some of that stuff has progressed. Um, what is it? There's a article or something recently about the guy who plays, I think it's Reacher. from the Netflix show, and this guy is in amazing shape, right? Like this guy looks physically, he looks amazing. He's very tall, um, and he is in his 40s, and he is jacked and ripped and looks amazing. Now, I'm not saying he's an athlete. He just looks, that way. And he trains very, very hard to look that way and takes a lot of things to look that way at 40. But he's also so lucky, um, because he's, genetically like lucky to be one of those people. But it's presented as if like, oh, anybody can achieve this, and it's like, no, 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 no. Not everybody can achieve this, and the amount of time, effort, and money required to be able to invest to get that. Like, people need to have perspective on this stuff. The kind of on the same note, the funny thing I heard recently was about Deadpool Wolverine. If anyone saw Deadpool Wolverine, um, they are both in like amazing shape for that, and they made some comments about what's his name, Hugh Jackman being in amazing shape for it because there's a bunch of jokes about that because he's getting up there in age, and he originally wasn't going to come back to the Marvel because he was tired of doing that, but then I guess they offered enough money and so on. But the thing I heard that was funny was that apparently when they were filming, it was one of the first productions back from the uh, or back during the pandemic, and they had to suspend the production because people got sick, and then they had to come back and start again, and so on. Um, they had to stay in that shape for I think it was like over a year or something. And apparently it's miserable because they can't eat normal food. They have to have like a super restrictive diet. And yeah, so they had to do that for like over a year or something, just waiting to come back to film. Uh, and, I feel bad for them, but, only partially. Oh, Mark says NHL, not HNL. Oh, yeah. Okay. And NHL makes sense. I should have corrected because I'm familiar with the NHL. But yeah, that makes sense. There's a comic book artist. I can't remember his name right now, but he's a power lifter. It's kind of funny because he's huge, right? Uh, like I said, he's a power lifter. He's a big guy, in shape, big muscles, all that. And yet he's a comic book artist. And so at conventions, big guy sitting doing, doing sketches and everything. It's pretty funny. Cassandra says, I saw someone saying they love being jacked in a job where you don't need to be. I can see that. I mean, look, being in great shape is just is a good thing. And like, it's just one of those things. It feels good. And people treat you differently when you're like super jacked. Um, I bet it can, not that I feel like I would ever be in this kind of work, but I'm sure there are jobs where being more intimidating or having more presence is important, and I'm sure that could help as well. Like I said, I don't ever do anything like that, nor would I really want to, but yeah, you know. Cassandra says jacked florist, jacked writer. you know, I mean, jacked florist, I think would be surprisingly suitable in a way, because doing any kind of what's it called? Um, Gardening uh, is very difficult. Although you don't get jacked from it, but yeah, it's not easy work. Mark says, I've got to run to work. Nice chatting with you. Love the painting. Oh, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Have a good day at work. I hope you have a great day. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Next week, or this coming week, I mean, no Wednesday. It'll be on Thursday. Just FYI, if you can make it, if that's something that fits, just saying, it will be on Thursday, not on Wednesday. FYI. I will say also, Cassandra, jacked writer also makes sense to me, even though like there aren't a ton of jacked writers that I can point to, but it makes sense because like if that is your full-time job, that's what you do. You're at home a lot, um, or you're not going into the office at least, and there's also um, probably a lot of researching and thinking and stuff like that. And I could see like you could totally work out while doing a lot of that stuff or in the background kind of thing. Sandra says you also have a healthy imagination and could come up with uh, reasons for most anything. True. What could you see being not a job someone could be jacked for? So, I mean, the realistic thing is the the amount of time and effort and money required to be that way, right? Like those are the real things that kind of get in the way. Those are the major things that get in the way, right? So anyone who's working full time, has family, stuff like that, I know not super fun to like be to talk about in the way of like this conversation. Having said that, having said that, I would think like I could see a jacked jockey, but they would be small, right? So you can be like a 6 foot guy, 6'5", jacked, and also a jockey, right? Um, Same thing with someone who does like an electrical worker, someone who like or a phone line repair person or something like that. I feel like being huge would be something that gets in the way. Fireman, I could believe, but I feel like you might run into the problem of like weight limits on gear or size for gear. Like, can you just, I can just imagine a firefighter who can't like button up their, their stuff because they're so wide they can't, actually do it. Like, I could see that being a problem. Sandra says first world problems. Yeah, a bit. I mean, there's also some things where it's like we perceive being jacked as being like a good thing, right? Because you're like in great shape. But the reality is like if you there's a certain type of like if you look at athletes, you can see like there's a certain type of jacked that's good for certain types of movement. But if you go too far, it becomes more just a vanity thing and not a practical thing. So if you have a job that's like physical labor, you could actually tire out way faster, because you have so much muscle, you're moving around all the time. It could actually like wear you out a lot faster. I will say, I think jacked politician could be one of those where it's like it could get in the way because people might think you're an idiot because people have prejudice. But at the same time, if you were like if you're like 6'5" or something like that, and just absolutely jacked, and you're like a politician or something, man or woman, doesn't matter, and you're trying to like talk, like debate or, whatever, like I could see that being very intimidating to a ton of people. Sandra says mid debate they just split their suit by hulking out. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll say this: if I was a politician and I was jacked, I would be wearing the tightest sleeved things you could imagine. It would just be like all the time, just like the seams almost popping all the time, just to like intimidate. Well, not all the time, when needed, I guess. At the right venues. Yeah, exactly. The suit's struggling for its life. Oh my God. I remember so I'm a pretty big guy. I'm not like huge, but I'm a big guy. And at one point I was in really good shape. I'm quite a bit out of shape at the moment, unfortunately, but I was in really good shape and skinny, way skinnier than I am now. And I was still a big guy. And I went to visit family overseas, and we went to my mom wanted to buy me clothes and stuff like that, and we went to a shop, and everything there is like it was like a European clothing brand there, and everything is sized for like European. I don't know where in Europe. I don't remember. This is a long time ago, but I tried to wear it was like a XL or double XL shirt, and I put it on, and I couldn't put the sleeves all the way through because they got stuck, and I tried to wear a shirt and my arms were like stuck out here, and I'm like, if I if I bring my arms down, or I touch my hands to my shoulders, I am going to tear this shirt to shreds. Like I just, and like I said, I'm large, but I'm not like absurdly large or anything. I'm not, I'm not, it just, the clothing brand was just, everything was sized down for some reason. But it was so funny trying to put these clothes on. And I'm just like, I feel like a giant at the moment. Like, this is just ridiculous. Which is also how I feel, or have felt in the past, at least. I haven't gone in a while. When I go to IKEA and all the couches are like knee level and lower, and I just feel like I'm in one of those I feel like I'm one of those actors on an old like what's it called? You know, um uh Godzilla sets or kaiju sets or something, where the city, that's just a guy in a rubber suit and the city's all small. I'm like, that's how I feel when I go to the couch section at IKEA. I'm just like, I'm a giant. And like I said, I'm not really that large. Like I'm not even that tall. Like I'm 6 foot on a good day, Like I'm just hitting 6 feet. So I'm not like that crazy big or anything, but some places are really sized down. Yeah, trying to remember, there was a politician who actually got into legal trouble because he body slammed a reporter, which is not cool. It's funny in, to talking about it, but definitely not cool. And I mean, wait, now that I think about it, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California, and wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin also the governor or mayor of some city? So Jack politicians is a thing, apparent, I guess. Cassandra says, I haven't heard of about Stone Cold. I do know that man loves his cats. Does he? Oh, I like him so much more now. He has a ranch and he is just constantly cuddling his cats. Ah, that's so cute. I'll send you a video at some point. Yeah, that'd be great. That sounds adorable. hopefully some of these marks, the idea is that some of these marks will definitely be like final marks at this point. Like when I first start painting, when I first started painting, I don't expect any of the marks I'm making to make it to the end. Like I expect them to be covered up and not visible. But now, this stage, I'm expecting a lot of these marks to be final. Thanks, Cassandra. Appreciate that. By the way, Cassandra, weren't you going to be doing water mixable oils this weekend? I was. I am on crutches and can't really move. Oh no, your foot's bothering you that much? I'm so sorry to hear that. Forgot to ask how it was. I didn't realize it was that serious. Can't put any weight on it at all. That's crazy. I wonder what happened. I hope it gets better soon. Doctor tomorrow? Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that. Um, that's awful. That sucks. I'm glad you're able to go to the doctor's tomorrow. I know how hard it can be sometimes to get seen when you need to, so mostly I just hate that I have to be helped. Yeah, yeah, I get that. It's a lot more fun to have everybody do everything for you when you don't need them to. Jay has had to tell me to stop apologizing for needing things. Yeah. Oh, he's great that he's there for you and taking care of you. It's funny though. It's like I like people doing things for me. Like I'm lazy. I can be lazy, that's for sure. But it's only enjoyable when when I know I can do it myself. Otherwise, it's very frustrating. Okay, I just messed that part up. I need to fix that. I'm going to need a different brush for that. Yeah, I really screwed up this part. That's luckily some of it's dry, so I should be able to get some of this back without even having to paint. Just wiping stuff off. I will get a Q-tip because sometimes that's easier than trying to use my paper towels. There we go. Sometimes it's as simple as having the right tool for the job. Lightly pushing some of his features over just a little. This really is, I think, honestly, too small. I should have, uh, like, this should have been a larger painting, or I should have cropped in closer. But oh well. That is one thing that I do struggle with a lot. Like I have a tendency of just making the painting, the crop too small. Either the crop or the surface I'm painting on. Like some paintings just need to be larger, that's just the way it is. But it's not that it needs to be. It's more an issue of like ease or comfort, right? Like it's just making your life so much harder when the painting is too small. Cassandra, I hope like I said, I hope the leg gets better and the doctor has some good, what's it called? Good information for you. And hope you get to try your water mixable oils soon. Yeah, it's discouraging. I'm sure, like, I mean, obviously I don't know this for sure, but it's, I don't know, like, hopefully it's nothing serious and it's just one of those things. Then given some time, it just kind of goes away. Cassandra says, yeah, since there wasn't an event that brought it on. The funny thing is, there might have been, and you're just unaware of it. Like, it just may have been one of those things where it wasn't that serious at the time, but, it just kept getting agitated in some way after it happened. Like, this isn't the same thing by any means, but I one time had, I think it was the ring finger, or it might have been my pinky. I can't remember. I think it was my pinky, actually, now that I think about it. Uh, like it was a little swollen at the finger, like at the around the nail kind of area, and red and hurt a little. Nothing major. Why? No idea. Just like, all right, whatever. I went to bed and I woke up early in the morning to go to work, and it was double the size, bright red all the way down to the hand, throbbing, hot to the touch, and every time I put my hand down, it was just pain. If I held it up to like it was better, but it still hurt. And it's just like I don't know what's going on. And this is my left hand, and I was about to go to work, and I need to like use a Cintiq, not Cintiq, tablet all day, and I was just like, I don't know what this is. Like I said, it's my left hand, it's my drawing hand. I so and it was like super early in the morning, so I couldn't even go to urgent care. I ended up just going to the ER because it was like 5 in the morning at that time. So I go to the ER. Um, the doctor looks at it and it's like, I don't know, prescribes me some general antibiotics. And it's like, good luck. Um, I took the antibiotics and the swelling went down, and, you know, problem solved, I guess. It just cost me like $300 or some nonsense, you know. Actually, it was more, but yeah. And they gave me a little like metal thing, one of those cushioned things to hold your finger out, and a note for my job, which didn't care about notes because it was freelance work, so they don't care. Yeah. So yeah, super helpful. Um, I mean, to be fair, the antibiotics solved the problem, but what was the problem? Supposedly, I must have had like some kind of cut or nick or something that I was unaware of, and it got infected somehow. But it wasn't like most infections where like there's a point where you're like, this is the infection and it's oozing. No, just no idea, nothing. That was it. Like, all right, all right. I mean, you know, was I happy about the price? No. Ultimately, was I happy with the outcome? I guess, yeah, technically speaking. So, mm. Hey, Don Lee, welcome. Good to see you. How you doing? Don Lee's over on YouTube, but Don Lee streams on Twitch at Don Leo, which is his handle on YouTube. So just copy paste that into Twitch. How was your stream on Thurs Thursday? I couldn't make it. Or was it Thursday or Friday? I can't remember if you streamed on Thursday or Friday. I couldn't make it, unfortunately. I saw the notification. I was going to go check it out, but things just, you know how it is. Good to see you too. Kitty is looking great. Thanks for the shout out. Yeah, absolutely, man. Happy to. Yeah, I'm hoping to have it done today. I mean, it's pretty close to finished at this point. It is just tightening up the all the loose ends and everything. Yeah, other than that, we've been talking about honestly all kinds of stuff today. It's been such a mixed bag of conversation. But right now we're talking about recounting a story of a very, very stupid injury, if you want to call it that. Um, but yeah, Suddenly says stream out. Well, I'm hopefully finishing up the piece I was working on my last Twitch stream today, though I think I'll do it offline. Yeah, the very, very final of a piece I often do like the very final touches. I almost always do a few extra something offline. There's just something about like being able to really focus all your attention on what you're doing, not have to split up your attention at all, and then just, you know, not have to worry about the camera or just anything. Just focus on what you're doing. Suddenly says agreed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think maybe if I were to do like silent streams or something where like the camera's on, but I'm not paying attention to chat at all. And, it's just fly on the wall type of thing where the camera is on, but you know, I'm just doing my thing. But I don't really think anyone would tune in for that, or very few, if anybody would, because, you know, like why would anybody tune in for that? I remember when Pinky tried to do those, Pink Epoxy tried to do some of those, and it was not very successful. People want the interaction. That's such a big part of the live stream aspect. Only says, I wanted to stop by and say hi, but I can't stick around. Although the Dresden is coming along, and it looks like you got YouTube working for you again. Congrats. Yeah, I don't know if it's me, if it's what I did, or if it's just that it's not Wednesday. So I don't know, but yeah, YouTube seems to be working. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks, Ben. You too. Yeah, absolutely. Have a good one. One of the hardest parts I'm discovering about cats um, is that the markings and the shadow patterns and the descriptive, like I use everyone every artist I know uses shadows values to describe form. Problem is that the patterns are sometimes go with it, sometimes go against it, and so it messes up a lot of that. Now I realize that evolutionary wise, that's actually the point, right? It's camouflage. Like that's what it's for. It's really messing with my painting. So I'm not a fan. Right, so now the problem is the paint's starting to get overly thick and actually get in the way. So let's get rid of some of it. And I can work on it again. All right, I'm gonna take not leaving, but I'm taking a quick painting break to stretch. Oh, I prepared a bunch of panels today. More painting panels. So I figured out, oh, they're all wet too. You can see it. I sand the panels outside um, because I don't want the dust in the house, but they do get wet. Well, no, they don't get wet from the sanding. After I sand them, I blast them with the hose because that gets rid of all the dust. And then after they dry, I'll clean them off with alcohol, rubbing alcohol to get rid of any moisture or oil or anything. I do that before I paint on them. Sandra says, yay, panels. Yeah. All right. Quick stretch on the ground here. One day I'll figure out how to set my mic up so I can do some like ASMR popping for my stretching. Uh, yeah, the next thing I need to figure out is if I'm going to buy or build a wet panel carrier. I'm kind of on the fence about that. It's not the hardest thing to build, but I do worry that it's one of those things where it's like you think it's easy and you build it and then you run into problems and you build it some more and more and more. And the amount of time and effort, I question that. Like, I wonder if it's worth it, or if I should just fork over the money for the, pre-built ones. The two, what's it called? The two ones that I'm aware of that are like good is Raymar and then the what is the other one? The New Masters, I think it is. Yeah, those are the two that I'm aware of that are like the best ones. I do have someone I know who's also trying to build like his own what's it called? Plein air or what not even plein air, wet panel carrying device. Um I don't know if he's going to actually make them, but he used a 3D printer to kind of to make it and then design them or something. I don't know. Seems interesting. Actually, I just realized I know someone who has a 3D printer. Maybe I'll just ask him for the files. I also know a place that does like CNC stuff with wood. Wonder what they charge for that. I have no frame of reference for that stuff in the sense of price wise. Like I've never tried to have anything CNC'd before. I do think the technology is really interesting. I once was looking at like, what's it called? Um, uh, geez, my brain. Laser, like a laser cutter. We're looking at that for Michelle, but we ended up not getting it. Gorilla Fantasy asks if this is oil. Yes, this is oil paints. And since you asked in Hebrew, Ken's a shemen. Gorilla Fantasy, how are you? Do you do you paint? I mostly do portraits. Pets are not, or animals are not my what's it called? Not what I normally do. So it's definitely stretching uh, my abilities a little bit. Nice. What kind of painting do you do? Also oil. Maybe I will try acrylic as also. Yeah, it's always good to try new things. I did not like acrylics personally, um, but it doesn't mean you won't. Everyone's different. Smash button orange cat. Yes. Yep. Little Dresden here. Named after Harry Dresden, the wizard from the Dresden File book series, for anyone who's curious. Yeah, if you do try acrylic, let me know what you think about it, Girl of Fantasy. I'm curious if you end up liking it. By the way, for anyone who doesn't know, I have a Discord that you can join and hang out and talk about art there. There's artists that paint in acrylics or people who paint in digitally. There's all kinds. But yeah, you can, hang out in there, ask questions, talk art. There should be a button down there. Smash Button says you gotta play the game Stray. Yeah, it's on my wish list. I just haven't gotten to it, but it is on my wish list. I've heard great things about it. The only thing I'm a little worried about, if I'm being honest, is I get I get the feeling that it's kind of a story-based game, and I'm not. I'm more of like an actiony kind of player, but I still want to try it. Smash Button says I gotta buy Warhammer Space Marine 2. Yeah, I've seen some stuff about that. I haven't played it. The reason I think the thing that like I've never played Warhammer, so I was kind of I wasn't sure if I would really, you know, not get like the enjoyment out of it not being a Warhammer player. Like, I wasn't sure how much of a prerequisite that was for the game. Guerrilla Fantasy, by the way, there is there is an acrylic called Golden Open, which is an acrylic that stays wet for a lot longer, which is I tried it briefly. It seems kind of like a good in like it's acrylics, but it does have a lot of things that feel like oils. But if you want the speed of oils, I mean the speed of acrylics, like the drying time, then it would actually be a negative because clearly they don't dry nearly as fast as regular acrylics. So if that's what you wanted out of the acrylics, then those would not be a good option for you. That is assuming you can purchase it, because Golden is not available everywhere. I know that. So it kind of depends. It's interesting how like some paints, like in America, there are some paints that are considered like premium, and they're way more expensive. But then in other countries, because they're made there or whatever, those paints are actually like cheaper than the cheaper paints here. Yeah. Uh, do I know Rotem Onstein? Uh, really bad with names. I don't. Your style reminds me of him. Really? I'm interesting. I'm really bad with names, but I don't think I do. I would say drop me a link, but you can't drop links in YouTube, unfortunately. If you join the Discord, you can send me a link, or you could send me a link through um, Instagram if you feel like making the effort. No, obviously no obligations here. But I'd love to see his work. It's always nice to discover new artists, new to you, I mean, or you know, it's one of those things. Like I discovered a new artist. They've been around for 20 years, That happens all the time. At least to me it does. Smash button, by the way, if I haven't asked, how are you doing? He's a young Tel Aviv artist. Looks cool. But no, I don't think I know him. But it'd be great to what's it called? It'd be fantastic to meet and discover more artists. So yeah, I'm trying to remember to look him up uh, online. There's an artist on YouTube. I'm going to forget his name. I think it's Leol something. But he's a watercolor artist, and we don't have the same style at all. I like his stuff a lot. He has good videos and everything. We don't have the same style or anything. But yeah, Yeah, I'm really kicking myself for making it this small. Wish I'd made everything slightly larger. And yeah, I know I could technically get a smaller brush and go in there, but try not to do that too much. The eyes are definitely going to need some work. I basically am ignoring the eyes at the moment and painting around them. The idea being that if you get everything around the eyes in the right place, the eyes just kind of fall into place at the end. Let's see. No. Rotem is an oil artist. Oh yeah, no, I understand. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. I understand that. That's really cool. I'd love to see his stuff. He had a big show. יריד צבע טרי לפני כמה חודשים. Uh, so how would that translate? Fresh paint, יריד. Like, what would that be? Like a, not a show exactly, like a, either that or I'm getting the translation wrong. But a couple months ago, he had a show. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Like I said, I'll have to look him up. I wish, like I said, you can't put links in chat, unfortunately. The auto mods, the built-in uh, mods on YouTube are very strict and they won't let links in. And despite the fact that I clicked the little check mark that lets me supposedly pre-approve um, links, it never works. So sorry, I mix languages. No worries. It's not a problem at all. Trying to I know how difficult it can be to talk in not your original language. And even if it is, I know how difficult it is when you know one subject in one language. Even if you try and talk about it in another language, you don't know like the terminology and the very specific things. Like you think of it in the language that you're familiar with it in. So I know how that feels too. So I have that experience as well. So I totally understand. It's not a problem. I generally try and keep everything in English because um, not everybody speaks English, but it's the most common, and I live in America, and so my time, the time I stream, just generally I keep everything in. But I don't mind other languages if I understand them. If I don't understand them, that's the problem because people people will come in. I've had this happen where they come in and try and write in a language I don't know, and they try and get away with saying a lot of really like awful things, you know. Uh, trolls basically. That's all that is. It's not a big deal. Just I tell them English only or and ban them. But if I know, since I know Hebrew, you know, don't mind it at all. Although I will say my reading in Hebrew has gotten really bad over the years because I don't read in Hebrew much, unfortunately. So yeah, my reading in Hebrew has gotten a lot worse over the years. My writing is even worse. I would not trust myself to be able to write anything anymore, unfortunately. Now that I think about it, Yerid would be like a festival, right? Like that's what that would be? Or am I getting my translation wrong? Oh, that would be oh, 2003. Yeah. Yeah, 2003 is when I moved back to LA. I'm in Austin, Texas now, but originally I was in LA for a long time. No, no. I moved back to LA to be a comic book artist. I wanted to be Yeah, I wanted to be a comic book artist, and you know, I pursued that for years, and then um eventually uh I worked my way into doing storyboards for um TV animation. And as I got older, kind of shifted towards oil paint and stuff like that. Let's see if I can get the nostrils in the right place. Yeah, that's why I moved back to LA. I wanted to be a comic book artist, and I found an art school in LA that I went to for years. And then, like I said, I worked my way into comics a bit, did the whole comic book convention stuff, all of that. Yeah, I wasn't really interested in oil painting or anything like that when I was younger. But we change. Things change. You should check out Gorilla Fantasy. You should check out Tomer Perez on Instagram. He's an LA artist, but I think you might like him. And to be fair, I think everybody should check him out. I like his art. I like him a lot. So, um, although lately he's not doing as much of the painting stuff as he used to. He's much more activism related stuff lately. And by the way, in case anyone's new here, doesn't know me, I do stream twice a week. At the moment, it's Sundays and Thursday. It's going to be Thursday nights that I stream. Thursday nights my time, which is Central Time America. But yeah, so twice a week. And like I said, I have a Discord. I notify when I have streams there, and it's a good way of keeping in touch if people have questions or anything. Definitely need to work on that eye some more. Like I said, I'm not, cats are kind of new to, painting cats is new to me, so definitely hitting some speed bumps that I think I wouldn't normally run into. But it's good to challenge yourself and stretch. Not a bad thing. Jonas Mark, welcome. Hi, Leah. Hi, and everybody. Welcome. How you doing? How's your weekend going? Gorilla Fantasy. Yeah, he is. That's mostly what he's doing right now. But when he gets, at some point, Tomo Peretz will also get back to painting, I'm sure. He's also a really good painter if you go and look at his older work. But it's also nice that he's doing activism about that. Sometimes, I've said this so many times, it's just easier to paint over it and then come back in and fix it than it is to try and fix it like by small degrees. This, like I said, it's also, I think this panel, or the, not the panel, but the size of the face at this, on this panel is just too small. It's making my life difficult. And I'm so reluctant to grab smaller brushes and start detailing everything. Jonas, if I forgot to ask, how are you doing today? What are you up to? Yeah, fur, the biggest challenge I have with fur is not painting all of it and just kind of abstracting it. That is, for me personally, the biggest challenge. The, I mean, it's a challenge with people as well, but because I'm not as practiced with fur, it's, I find it more challenging. Gorilla Fantasy says, thank you for chatting. I have to go to sleep. Beautiful painting. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you around. And have a good night. Like I said, I stream twice a week, so also on Thursday. And Thursday I stream at night here, which might work out for you time-wise if you're an early riser. Depends. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Cassandra says, going to go eat, take care, and enjoy your lunch or dinner, whatever. I hope you feel better, Cassandra. I hope your foot, uh, doesn't stops bothering you. Thanks, LOL. Yeah. I was looking at the time and I'm like, is it dinner or like, yeah. But either way, enjoy your food. Yeah, one of the absolutely last things I will do on this painting is with my what's it called? My liner brush. I'll put in all the like um whiskers and everything. That'll be like the very, very last touch. First time chatter, May 7 Ari. Welcome. How are you doing today? Are you an artist as well? I thought for a second your name was May 7 Art, but then I realized it's an Ari. And so I was like, wait, artist or not an artist? Either is fine. I just definitely have a high percentage of artists. I'm great. Just took an outfit picture. And yeah, I do draw. Nice. What kind of drawings do you like to do? If you don't mind sharing. No pressure if you don't feel like sharing. Characters? Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, when I first started drawing, I that's what I did. Characters and comic books. Um I still mostly draw figures, like or paint figures rather. When this cat portrait is what's it called? Is me stretching, trying to paint stuff I'm not as used to painting. I was about to say not as familiar with, but I'm actually very familiar with this cat because this is my cat, but I'm not used to painting cats. So trying to stretch my artistic what's it called, skills a bit. A lot of this stuff is the same, but there's definitely some differences and pitfalls that I'm not used to and so on. But yeah. What type of paint are you using? This is oil paint. I've used a lot of other stuff. I used to be all digital at one point as well, so very familiar with a lot of different things, but this is oil paint. I like acrylic paint, never tried oils. Oils are definitely worth trying. I've tried acrylics. I did not like acrylics personally. But of course it's a very, very much a personal thing. The one thing I will say, there's a big like initial learning curve when you get into oils in the sense of like it feels overwhelming because it's like, oh, you got to know all this stuff. Um, it's not, you don't just grab the paint and paint, although you kind of can. There's just a few safety things you probably should know first. But it's really not that bad. It just, I think, has that perception. Of course, there's the perception that it's dangerous, which is not entirely true. It can be. There are precautions, but that you need to make. But a lot of those apply to acrylics as well. Some don't, but a lot do. But yeah, if if you want to try something kind of in between, um, and you feel like buying stuff, of course, I know not everyone is always up for just, oh, I'll splurge and buy a bunch of new paints. I get that. Supplies are expensive, but Cassandra, who was in here a little bit ago, she paints with golden open acrylics, and she let me try them, and they're very similar to oils. The only thing that's really different, that not the only thing, but one of the main things is they just don't have the volume or the body that like heavy acrylics or oils have. So everything goes on very, very flat. Like it's, um, like it feels like it's very thin, but it's very nice paint. So golden open is a nice kind of in between because it stays open for so long that you can, paint back into it. But yeah, oils are great. I think they're really good. They're the um I say this even though people have complained otherwise. I think they're the easiest and most forgiving medium other than digital. Of course, that's with a few exceptions. There's a few types of artwork that if you're trying to do a certain style, they would not be wouldn't recommend them. Watercolor looks like watercolor. If you want to paint something that looks like watercolor, don't use oils, use watercolors. But overall, they're the easiest, I think. If you do decide to do oils, um, just look up the safety stuff before, like look up a safety thing before you start, so that you know you're you're being safe about it. But I always say the medium doesn't really matter, right? Like, who cares if you paint in acrylics or oils, whatever? It doesn't matter. It's a personal thing, whatever speaks to you. Do you do realistic characters or uh more like cartoons or anime or stuff like that? Cartoon anime combo. Okay, cool. There's a painter on Twitch that does can't remember his name right now, but he does anime paintings with I think oils if I'm not mistaken. Unless it's you and you do it with acrylics and I'm just bad with names. That could be the case because I am horrendous with names. So I've had that happen to me before where I meet someone and I'm talking about them to them. That's happened to me once or twice. Very embarrassing. I'm just that bad with names. So yeah, I think I saw him do like a Goku painting or something, which was fun. Um, Might have been Brawly because it might have been around the time that the last Dragon Ball movie came out. That is one thing I haven't really done in a while is try to do or do something like anime or comic book related. in oils. It's been a long time. I did an indie cover for a horror comic in oils, but since then I haven't really done that. Fiona, heading to my Kip. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Uh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your weekend as well. Thank you so much for stopping by, Fiona. I appreciate it. Um, have a great rest of your weekend. And, like I said, I'll be back on Thursday and, next Sunday as well. So, yeah, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate the company. If Sundays are during your day, I'll hopefully drop by again. Fiona, absolutely, they are. Sundays are always during the day. Sometimes I start an hour later or an hour earlier, but they're always during the day. Um, Thursdays are at night. I might throw in random streams, but I'm not guaranteeing that during the day on other days. But that's all like maybe depending on how I feel, time, and so on. Yeah. I used to do 3 times a week, but uh, it just became too much. The problem with streaming is that it's like I enjoy doing it, but it definitely like you can't do anything else while you're streaming. And then I also find it exhausting. Like even though I enjoy it, by the end of the stream, I am just like so tired after I stream. I just like cannot function for quite a while. Sometimes I even just have to take a nap because it can be so exhausting. I think it's just so much mental, um, you know, it's mentally challenging, and that's why. I do like it. I do, and I do appreciate the people who come in and talk. Like that's, it's why I do it. I want to meet people and have more people see my art, but um it is that's why I do it. But it is also very taxing. Speaking of being exhausted and all that, we're coming up on the 3 hour mark, which honestly is probably going to be all I'm able to pull off today. I can feel my concentration constantly waning right now. Need to take a break, get something to eat, and so on. So I think I'm going to start my normal wind down and call it a day. Um, I just want to say thank you to everybody who stopped by. I appreciate it. Like I said, I will be streaming Thursday night, um, and then Sunday again. I have a Discord, which is a great way of keeping in touch, seeing notifications, chatting about art, sharing your art. It's not just for my art. You can share your own art there. Um, yeah, I recommend it if that sounds interesting to anybody. Um, if you're not familiar with Discord, it's just an app, kind of like WhatsApp or um, I don't know what else, Slack. Um, trying to think what else. Messengers. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, um, yeah, that's a great place of keeping in touch, meeting new artists, and so on. What else? Yeah, I think that's about it. I do have paintings available on my website. Check it out. I have an online shop there. Um, and yeah, all my social media stuff is below as well. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good rest of your weekend. Like I said, I think I'm going to be calling it a day. I need to take a break, refresh my eyes, come back to this. Um, but it is very close to done, other than some fur, some his eyes and whiskers. Those are really the only things I'll be touching. The rest of it, I'm just going to leave. So yeah, all the plants, all that, it's all done. So yeah, anyways, that's about it. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will be back on Thursday night, and yeah, have a good one.